For the first time in the series history, Formula One teams will be subject to stringent financial regulations this year after a determination to cut costs in order to become more viable. Following the COVID-19 outbreak, teams opted to reduce the spending restriction from $175 million to $145 million per year beginning in 2021, thus establishing the standard for the following season. While some teams were able to operate inside or near the budget constraint, F1's three biggest teams, Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari, were compelled to cut costs this year in order to meet the budget cap. But how Mercedes could benefit from the Formula One budget cap? Let's talk about it, but before that, welcome to this video on our channel, The Paddock. Before we dive in further, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications bell icon on so you know when we post next. Let's get started. Today we are going to explain why the budget cap is going to shock this season, because Mercedes apparently believes it is a good opportunity to benefit from. The Formula One budget cap was put in place to make the sport more sustainable and to keep the big teams in check, but Mercedes believes that the sport's financial constraints can actually help it develop. Along with sustainability, one of the primary goals of Formula One's budget constraint is to level the playing field and limit the performance of the top teams. Nonetheless, Toto Wolff, the boss of the Mercedes team, sees the cap as an opportunity for the Brackley team to grow. For a long time, this sport was all about making money. It's no accident that the clubs who have dominated have had the most money, and there has been no regulatory limit on how much they may spend until now. The FIA financial standards of 2021, which include a $145 million budget cap, have changed all of that. Despite the fact that certain industries are excluded from that statistic, it represents a substantial shift in strategy for Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari. All three corporations have been actively moving staff to non-F1 projects, which explains why Ferrari has committed to a sports car program and Mercedes is hunting for customers for its applied science division. Given that having more money benefits everyone, it's obvious that decreasing spending will have an impact on competitiveness. However, another significant effect of the necessary reorganization and downsizing is disruption. Former midfielder teams are aiming to capitalize on the difficulties encountered by F1's high-spending teams. Aston Martin has long prided itself on being lean, mean, and efficient, and the budget cap was just perfect, so the team didn't have to radically adjust its working technique. Alpine is in a similar position. It's all about having the car travel faster while being more efficient. Alpine Executive Director Marcin Budkowski adds, "We're putting a lot of effort into increasing team efficiency, working better and smarter with the resources we have. We've never been the most well-funded squad, which is a good thing. We've always been known for being an efficient team, and we're perhaps in a better position for the cost cap than the top teams, so we want to capitalize on that in the future." The regulations show how far the negotiations progressed before they were concluded, with concerns such as how to allocate maternity leave, sick pay, and the income of mechanics whose primary duty is to prepare historic or demo vehicles. Teams must now account for any money spent that is not covered by the cap in pounds, euros, or dollars. Zero-based budgeting is the technique of going back to basics and tracking, and justifying every spending in each department of a business from the ground up. In my personal business life, I discovered that using a zero budgeting technique might occasionally disclose how much you've left on the table, and the expense of what you carried over from year to year was the cost of what could have been avoided simply by eliminating processes and the entire organization. Formula One is about more than just money. You can have all the money in the world and still not perform properly. And we've seen precedents like this before. One of the most important advantages of spending power is the flexibility to allocate resources to specific initiatives that may not pay off for a year or two. Aero testing constraints have already leveled the playing field to some extent, as teams can no longer operate 24 hours a day in more than one wind tunnel as they could a few years ago. The wealthier teams, on the other hand, could bring more bodywork variations to the track more regularly since they had the production resources. Meanwhile, there have been no mechanical limits, allowing the big teams to pursue advancements. All teams must now have the discipline to invest where they believe it will make a difference. They can no longer afford to pursue multiple solutions to the same problem and then reject those that fail. They need to be more perceptive and decide which road to go before wasting too much time and effort. "We've never squandered resources," says Wolf, "because, rather than attempting to do, prioritization has always been central to how we work. We've always approached a and/or bead since you just focus more on what you believe will result in greater results." However, because we weren't previously operating inside a regulatory cost constraint, the cost cap has elevated it to a new level. As a result, you must understand your procedures. Each and every object is cost or assessed in terms of its cost. You must also alter your working style. However, we believe this is a performance advantage since it has pushed us to evaluate what we do and how we do it. It will also necessitate a stronger focus and concentration on the areas that, in our opinion, offer the best results. The budget cap went into effect in the same year that teams were racing and developing their 2021 cars, as well as polishing entirely new concepts for 2022. They could work on mechanical projects without financial limits until December 31, but aeronautical research was restricted until January 1. The larger teams were able to get a head start on 2022 because they had more staff available to look ahead. That window of opportunity has closed, and teams must now determine how to deploy limited funds between racing this season and preparing for 2022, as well as how to use wind tunnel time and CFD usage. You have to find answers to this question every year. There will be teams who focus solely on the 2022 World Championship from the start, as well as those that see the 2021 World Championship as a fantastic chance. It will also be crucial for us to have a clear vision of how we want to balance development for the coming year. Every week, there are discussions about it. A spending limit has an impact on many aspects of racing, not only research and development. Mercedes Technical Director James Allison revealed during the W12 unveiling that the team is lowering costs by reducing the number of parts that must be built. There are developments to try to make it so that the components underneath may last longer, he explained. So they won't have to replace them as regularly and can perform more efficiently during a budget shortage. With the dual initiatives in full force, the top teams will undoubtedly face a difficult season in 2021. They will, however, have to adjust to a budget cap drop from $145 million to $140 million in 2022, and then to $135 million in 2023, which would very definitely result in additional headcount cuts. Will the traditional frontrunners be able to adjust to the new reality of limited spending and maintain their lead? Wolf is certain that his club is heading in the right direction. "In my opinion, the budget cap is really crucial," he says, "because the costs have been escalating for 10 to 15 years and the situation had become unsustainable. As a result, we now operate inside the same financial structure, and it gets much more interesting because there will be little difference in spending between the teams. We like to take on new tasks. We've accepted the challenge, and it's been challenging at times because all of your procedures must be changed in the end to increase efficiency. We found during the process that efficiency actually meant performance. The team who worked on the project performed an excellent job, and I believe we are in an excellent position to make the most of the scant resources at our disposal. That was all from our side. Thanks for watching this video. Please make sure to hit like and subscribe to this channel for more interesting information. See you until next time.